Hello my dear friends, welcome once again to Marriage Without Tears channel. This is your ultimate channel for couples that want to make a difference in their marriage. And our topic of discussion tonight is simply the 7 sex vital questions that a couple must ask one another before even they engage in the course of their marriage. The 7 sex questions. Sex is very, very important, really. But when certain things are not put in place, when certain questions are not answered, the place of sex becomes a place of crisis, a place of conflicts, a place of all manner of discouragements and discomforts. But when these questions are all attended to and answered properly, sex becomes a place of illumination, a place of joy, a place that where the entire fabric of the marriage is lubricated. Sex touches the physical side of marriage, the mental side of marriage, the emotional side of marriage, and even the spiritual side of marriage. Sex is the glue that holds every of these parts together. So if you are able to answer these 7 vital questions, you discover essentially that your marriage becomes better and better as the years go by. So that is why we are discussing this subject tonight, and I want you to pay me ultimate attention as we discuss this subject. Number 1, if you actually want to see your marriage succeed, the first question you must ask one another is, what are our values concerning sex? What are our values? What are our beliefs concerning sex? You must answer that question clearly as a couple. How important is sex to us? How important is sex to you as an individual? How important is sex to us in the course of our marriage? Is our marriage going to become better because of more sex, or does the marriage become undermined because of lesser sex? If, for instance, there is a break in a relationship where one part of us finds his or her way outside the country and we are not able to interact for a season, and we are no longer having conjugal relationships, does our marriage become impacted negatively as a result of lack of sexual intercourse between us? Or are there other vital elements of intercourse that we can engage in order to make our marriage continually work, in order to continually add value to our marriage? Communication, for instance, is a kind of intercourse. Do we, beyond sexual intercourse, are there other things we can add to our marriage and continue moving even as such a break occurs? Or we will suddenly find ourselves in the arms of other people? What is the importance of sex in this marriage? We must answer that. And if we are able to answer that, then we can now go and make progress into the next question. There are 7 vital questions you must ask. And of course, number 2, what are our expectations and individual desires concerning sex? What is your expectation? And in that way, we are also looking at the frequency of intercourse. We are also looking at any point that we have intercourse, how many rounds do we go? What are your expectations? What do you consider as a healthy sex life as an individual? Both of us must answer it, so that in the course of the relationship, none of us feels guilty or feels cheated on the inside or feels taken for granted. These are very, very important. We don't feel taken for granted. Very, very important. What are your expectations? At what point do you say as an individual that you are having a wonderful sexual life in your marriage? We don't need to understand that. We need to answer that clearly in the course of our marriage. That is the second fundamental question which a couple must answer. I have seen couples over a period of their marriage quarrel, all the time, simply because either you are not giving it or you are not giving as much as you should, or the intimacy level is too low to my liking, or possibly one partner is making all manner of excuses for not coming to bed, and all manner of things. But if as a couple we are able to understand our expectations, our desires, or what we think it should be the optimum or the low tone, it is very necessary for us to know that, and then it will make our lives as married couples better. And if you're already in marriage and you are finding some of these elements in your marriage, this is time to actually sit back and discuss it proactively as a couple, so that your marriage and your sex life will always work as you actually desired it. The third question as a couple we must ask ourselves is simply, how do we communicate our sexual desires to one another? How do we communicate our sexual desires? I have seen couples that communicate their desires so effectively and so efficiently that a stranger in their midst will not actually know what is going on. Just a wink or a snap of the finger or use a certain language pattern can communicate a desire, a sexual desire to the next partner, and you will not understand what is going on. I've seen a couple a partner tell the other, tonight we are going to the moon, and the other one said, the moon? I hope you are bringing the stars along with you. These are communication patterns, and immediately the partner being told that, recognize exactly what is meant. It simply means we are entering into that place where we are going to experience the highest turn in our relationship, and I hope you are bringing the passion that goes with it. But a stranger in their midst will not actually understand what is going on. He or she will not understand what is happening, but there's a communication flow. How do we communicate sexual desires? How do we communicate our intentions sexually to one another? You must be able to understand that. You must be able to answer that in the course of your relationship. If you are yet to subscribe to my channel, please do so immediately. There's a red button by my side. Click on this red button and get subscribed. And of course, when you get subscribed to this particular channel, you will have access to a whole lot of videos that we have done, more than 100 of them already on this channel, and it will grow your marriage, and you will see the joy of your spouse and the joy of your marriage on the increase on a daily basis. So click on this red button and get subscribed. The fourth question you must ask your partner as you prepare for marriage, or even while in marriage: do you have any health issues in the area of sex? Do you have any sexual health problem? It's very important, because I have seen people that have problems like HIV. As long as they are taking their drugs, you will not even know that they have such a health condition. I've seen people who have all manner of STDs, sexually transmitted diseases. You will not see that from their faces. You may not even see that from their genital parts. You may not even understand. I have seen people who have all manner of venereal diseases, and yet you can't interpret that from their conditions or from their character or from whatever they are doing or their behaviors. So it is very, very necessary for you to ask this fundamental question: do you have any sexual health problem? If these are problems you can sort out, you begin the process of sorting it out immediately. If this is something that will require you to dress back, then you may need to do so. But there's a need for you to understand that from the beginning, because your understanding it will give you an insight in how to tackle that problem. If it's an STD, you can visit a physician who can take care of that. If it's any other health challenges that is not detrimental, or that that you can take care of, just like you can also visit some other places, and the health challenge will be taken care of. But if it is something like HIV, you also need to make a decision within yourself whether this is a relationship I should continue, or whether I should step aside. These are things you must ask from the beginning, so that you don't end up hurting one another in the process of time. I have seen couples who continually, complain and make arguments and accuse one another of one thing or the other. I've seen a couple who continually challenge the other, insisting that it is the health challenge, maybe an abortion of some sort, that has stopped the other one from having children. All manner of complaints, all manner of accusations and counter accusations. But if you want to stem that tide, what you need to do is to ask that question from the beginning, get clear-cut answers, and then go ahead and move on with your relationship. Very important. The fifth question you must ask your partner is simply: how do we handle sexual differences or sexual conflicts or disagreements that is a fallout of our sexual needs or expectations and desires? How do we handle such a conflict? I have seen people, do all manner of things whenever they feel slighted sexually. When there is, an overdose of sex, the other one is accusing the other person of being a nymphomaniac. When the sexual drive is low, the other one is agitated. How do we handle such a thing? How do we handle low appetite or high appetite when it comes to sexual intercourse? How do we handle that? Do we seek for a sex therapist to handle that? Or do we take our time in prayers? What do we actually do in order to achieve sexual harmony? It's very important, because if you don't do that, there are tendencies for you to begin to accuse one another or complain about one another and begin to seek all manner of advice from friends and from parents and from all manner of siblings, and at the end of the day your marriage is undermined. So if you have sexual problems or challenges, how do you handle that? You must sit with your spouse or your potential partner and make such a decision ahead of time, because whether you know it or not, in time of marriage there are times when the libido or when the hormone is high and you want to make love every day, and there are also some low tones, either because of challenges or because of overwork or because of a whole lot of things can make the zeal and the appetite for sex to go down. There are such seasons in life. But when those seasons arise, how do we handle it as a couple? It is necessary that you have to answer that question with your partner. These are fundamental questions that need clear-cut answers. Once again, if you are yet to subscribe to my channel, please do so immediately. Click on the red button, look at it here, and get subscribed. Be part of this channel as we go on. The sixth question which you must ask: are there boundaries or limits when it comes to sex? Are there boundaries or limits? You must ask one another, because one partner may love oral sex and the other one detests it. There are boundaries already. One partner may like to have sex even when the woman is in menstruation, and the other partner may abhor it. There are already boundaries. One partner may love to have sex every moment, every time, and the other partner simply wants specific times and seasons for sex. There are already boundaries. One partner may love pornography as a way of enhancing or sensitizing themselves, but the other one considers this an anathema in their marriage. He doesn't want to hear it at all. He doesn't want to see it, but the other one enjoys it because it provides the passion, the erotism that is required for him or her to engage in intercourse, but the other one abhors it. You must begin to look at some of these things. In the place of foreplay, what constitutes a boundary? I have seen a man try to use the finger on the woman, but the woman thinks it's out of place. Since she feels it's dirty, she feels it cannot be done. And it is already a boundary. It's already a boundary. So what do you consider as a boundary in your relationship? I've seen a couple that throughout their marriage, they never took bath together, because the woman is always covered up. She doesn't want to, the man can see her nakedness during sexual intercourse, but once it's after sex and she goes into the bathroom, she wants to be alone. She wants to be left alone. And the man feels that there is something that is missing. I would have loved a place where I can go into the bedroom and have a cool bath with my wife in a very romantic atmosphere, but the woman doesn't want it. So there are boundaries. We must begin to look at these things. What do you consider as a boundary when it comes to sexual intercourse? That must be answered very clearly. Even for those in marriage, this is a very vital question, and I want you also to focus on it. The seventh question which you must answer as a couple: how do we prioritize intimacy and romance? How do we make it a priority in our own relationship? What actions or inactions shall we do or shall we take in order to heighten sexual pleasure? What can we do to make it worthwhile? How can we increase our sexual passion towards one another? Is very important. I have seen those, like I said earlier, who love pornography as a way of sensitizing their passion towards one another. I have seen situations where a couple changes their diets at the recommendation of a therapist. They change their diets, and as they begin to take some certain diets, their sexual joy, their sexual passion increases. I have seen a couple that take their baths together. I have seen a couple that take weekends out together, just weekend for two. You know, they take out this weekend and they have, it's like a honeymoon all over, all the time. I have seen a couple that for one reason or the other, they have specific times and places where they enjoy one another. What can we do as a couple to prioritize sex and romance? It is very important. If you are a couple out there, you must begin to look at questions like this, because not having this at the back of your head, not having answers to some of these things has ruined a whole lot of marriages. Even the marriages that are in court today are because some of these questions were not answered initially. And I encourage us who are already in marriage, even as I'm speaking, to look at these questions one by one and be able to answer them. And be able, it will add value to your marriage, it will add value to your relationship. How do we as couples prioritize the issue of intimacy and romance in our own marital relationship? How do we do it? Or do we do a weekend get out somewhere? Or do we book a hotel somewhere? Or do we travel to Dubai or to New York? What do we do to keep ourselves, warm and romantically involved as the years go by is very important. And I pray that even those who have listened to this awesome topic will be able to, get one or two things from there that will enhance their marriage as the years go by. I thank you very much for taking out time to actually listen to this edition. Once again, if you are yet to subscribe to this channel, do so immediately. I love it when I see subscribers on this channel. It gives me a whole lot of joy. So please click on this red button, get subscribed, and let's do this again next week.